Yeah. Um,
Okay, good evening to everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Okay, I hope I'm properly audible and also visible. Yes.
yes, sir.
Okay, good. Partha, thanks for becoming visible. More people are required for becoming visible. Yes, so please, if possible. Okay, so today we are going to start a very unique program, which is called a daily mentorship program based on revision classes and regular practice. And why this is unique? Because nobody offers such type of what year-long program, yes, on the basis of daily revision classes and practice. Now, is it required? Why? Because when you talk about the foundation courses are not enough. Now, the students usually struggle after foundation courses, and maybe a certain test series or maybe a few months of or couple of months of what QEP programs are not very much beneficial because the students require what daily support in terms of what building their knowledge, consolidation, and application, problem solving. Now, in this regard, I'm going to start with the most difficult portions of the mains examination for July. I will be covering them in July, August, and September. So today the classes will be starting with essay. Why essay? Because essay is comprehensive GS and current affairs. Now, that is why essay is not having a syllabus. It's a combination of the entire GS and current affairs. Now, if you know the wings of essay, if you are going to what develop the interdisciplinary approach, you can be very prepared for summarizing a knowledge while writing the GS answers, and you can expand that in terms of detailing while writing an essay. So let us start with that. So the flow of the classes will be today, I will be starting with the concepts of the essay classes. So this week we'll covering the important concepts. And then the next week we'll be doing certain practice of writing essays. So essays means the most difficult philosophical topics with writing good introductions. Now, if you are able to decode the meaning of the topic and write what good introductions means, you have won half the battle. Okay. Hence, we'll focusing more and more on the introduction part. Yes, how to write impressive introductions. Because once I decode and detail the concepts, you will having enough content to write the main body of the essay. Yeah. So we'll be doing the decoding of the essays. And from 15 July onwards, we'll be moving towards the another difficult portion, which is not being taught sincerely, Indian society and social justice. And yes, without what saying too much about myself, I've got a background in social sector. So I myself have the masters from Tata Institute of Social Sciences. I worked in what the community development work. So I will be giving you a different insight beyond theory for Indian society and social justice. And then when you are becoming what more aware about society and social justice, you can include that content in what socially driven essays asked by UPSC. Okay, and definitely in the GS answers also, we know the Indian society, at least there are 4 questions in the GS paper 1, and social justice 3 or 4 questions in the GS paper 2. So that is comprehensive study that you are going to do with me. And in the month of August, we will be starting with what? Ethics, integrity, and aptitude. Now, that means when we are doing ethics, integrity, and aptitude, you will be having the content of ethics as well as about how to use that in the essay paper, especially philosophical topics. Clear? So that means this is completely in sync. And then the flow of the classes will be after that internal security portions of world history we will be covering, and also India post-independence. Again, an area which is a neglected one. Yes. So this will be the flow of the classes in the coming months, July, August, and September. Now, writing assignments, I will be giving gradually. First of all, understand the concepts first. So this week, concept building, then I will be giving writing assignments. Definitely, there will be certain students who will be writing the mains examination this year. Prelims result is still not out. We are expecting the result maybe by today evening itself. Yes, so let's see whether it comes or not. But this is the right time to declare the result because the examination is approaching very fast. Now, so hence, this class is comprising of 3 sets of students. On one side are the students who are the freshers, or who are actually targeting 2025 examination right from the day 1 today. And on the other side, there are students who have studied with me before, but they have not done practice part. Yes. So now, so that means they have to revise the concepts and what also start practicing writing. Yes. So because writing, the fear has to be removed first. And I know here 2-3 students who are very good writers. They're good, have done good writings. So definitely they will be upgrading themselves to the next level. So that means, so here this is a combination of 3 types of students. Now let me share the screen and we'll start something on the board. So let's start with okay, so let's talk about the general overview of the essay first. Then I will be, I've shared the handout with you, class handout. So we'll be moving towards the handout after that. Yes. So let me create a complete story first. So when I talk about the essay paper, so essay paper is paper number 1. So when you read the notification, yes, of the UPSC, when you talk about the main examination, essay is paper number 1. So paper number 1 means it's an entry for rest of the papers. So entry means, so that means you should be performing good in the entry paper, because a good performance at the entry level will be boosting your morale for rest of the papers. And if you falter at the entry level itself, then there's a lesser chance that you will be able to maintain the motivation for rest of the papers. So here, so performing good at the entry level is very, very essential. Now, this paper usually, yes, you all know it's 250 marks, 2 essays to be written. So 1 essay from section A and 1 essay from section B, A and B. And what is the general trend of last few years? What we are seeing is more philosophical essay topics are being asked by UPSC. Now, philosophical topics, now this is giving maybe goosebumps to the UPSC people, because it's difficult to decode and write them. Yes. Now, philosophical topics are usually quotes based. Now, quotes are given by various social thinkers, political thinkers. And the thinkers, when they give quotes on the basis of their experiences in their lives. That means these are experiential learning which are converted into quotes. And that means this experience is from the society itself. That means quotes have to be decoded in such a manner that should be applied in the society. So you cannot write an abstract quotes-based essay in a very abstract manner. You have to convert that into pure application. Because you cannot write an abstract topic in abstract manner, because you may be having lack of ideas and lack of words to write. So immediately convert that into what? Proper application part. Now further, and the problem the student face with respect to the essay is no syllabus. Now with GS you have got a syllabus, with optional you got a syllabus, but with essay you are not having any syllabus. So again, this is a problem area. But UPSC has not given an syllabus for essay, because whatever you are doing in general studies, whatever you are reading in current affairs, maybe whatever you are doing in optional in terms of knowledge building, and whatever your experiences throughout your life, all those have to be combined to ultimately answer an essay. Yeah, so all those things, that means the learning from all the areas have to be utilized for writing an essay. Now, how this is going to work out? So that means when there's no syllabus, so syllabus is not there. So what you have to do is you have to crystallize. You have to crystallize concepts. Certain important concepts have to be crystallized for answering various topics linked with essay. Now, when you talk about the concepts, what concepts? So concepts which are linked with society and its related transformation. The transformations a society requires to become better and better in future. So here the concepts. So all those concepts linked with society and is related with its transformation. Now, which society we are talking about majorly, because you are aspiring to become the civil service in India. So naturally we're talking about the concepts linked with Indian society. Now, let me decode Indian society or India in very simple words. Yes. Now, what is India? Throughout our history, we have been termed as Indian subcontinent. So throughout our history, we have been termed as Indian subcontinent. Now, because we have got enormous diversities which can reflect a continent. Now, what we have seen, we have diversities on the basis of culture, the languages, the region, okay, the caste, the religions. We got enormous diversities. That means we were the subcontinent of diversities. Now we are trying to convert it into a country, into a nation having unity in diversity. Okay, that means this is a transformation that we are trying to bring from Indian subcontinent with diversities to a country reflecting unity in diversity. But we all know diversities are identities, and identities always have got a potential to create a clash. Now, in the past, there were clashes between the empires and aspiring empires, kingdoms versus kingdoms. In the past, there were clash between on the basis of caste divisions, the clash between the religious divisions, the clash between the patriarchal nature of the society, the class-based war clashes. So there were various clashes, and that was spread throughout the length and breadth of the country. Even the clashes between hill versus plain people or plain area people. Now we are trying to create a country who are having what history of what clashes and antagonism. That means what we require. Now, first thing that we require is a glue, yes, a binding factor, which is going to bring all those diversities together. And that binding factor that we created is the Constitution of India. The Constitution of India is the binding factor that we created for all those diversities. Now, when you have to manage diversities, we cannot impose one identity over the other identities. That's why Constitution of India is liberal in nature and inclusive in nature. That means we are trying to create a country which has more liberal values and inclusive approach. So liberal and inclusive. Now, and we have done well. Yes, we have done well because no country manages such level of diversity that India has. So we have done well in this regard. So for example, with the coming of the Constitution, we started to plant the liberal values in the country. And we started with the elections, and we gave voting power, yes, to all the citizens of the country, yes, who are eligible on the basis of the vote. Yes, so all the citizens of the country. Now, without discriminating between men and women, you may be knowing that there are various countries, even the advanced countries, who gave voting rights to women quite late. United States of America gave voting rights to women only in 1920. When I talk about United Kingdom, gave voting rights to women in 1928. But India, immediately after the coming of the Constitution, the first election, women got voting rights. We did not discriminate between rich versus poor, the landed versus the landless. Okay, the backwards and Dalits all got their voting rights. Why? Because all of them participated in national movement. So when all of them participate in national movement, so it is their right to ultimately be heard and seen in a new democratic setup. That's why voting rights to all. But when we are working on the liberal values and bringing power to the powerless, naturally, it will unsettle those people who are the powerful. because they have the habit of what? Subjugating the people. Now, that's why more land reforms, definitely the landed class became angry. Now, that means more women empowerment, more women-friendly laws, patriarchy became angry. Now, abolition of untouchability, okay, more reservation for backwards and Dalits, upper caste became angry. Now, when we talk about more schemes for the minority welfare, again, Orthodox Hindus became angry. Westernization started from 1991. Again, it brought anger to the Orthodox elements, because Westernization brought what? New way of dressing sense, new way of living, new way of what? Maybe nightlife. It also created problems for the Orthodox elements. So that means, but see, this is a natural process of transition in any country, because when we are trying to create a country on more liberal and free what thoughts, definitely you are bound to create anger among the orthodox class. You are going to create anger among the dominant class, because they will be feeling that their clutch or the hold on the people will be declining. So they will become more vocal, they will become more angry and more violent. Now, this was the scenario since 2014 onwards, when the orthodoxy had got a backlash on what? Liberal values. 2014 till 2024, we have seen an era of 10 years where the orthodoxy was at its prime. It was countering the liberal values. But again, we should not be getting unsettled by this, because this is a natural progression of any country. A country becomes mature over a period of time. Now, there's a certain fallacy among students. They give what examples of what mature Western European democracies. I always counter them by saying that European democracies became mature over a period of time, and they also took what? Almost 200 years to become mature. India is just 75, 76 years old. That means give 75 years more to India, India will becoming more mature. Because the country becomes mature through the tussles between the orthodoxy and liberalism. And for the last 3-4 years, I was always, during my lectures in the classes, I was telling to the students that post 2024 elections, there will be again be a readjustment and a balance between the orthodox and the liberal values. And we have seen the election result. Where we have seen is this, to a certain extent, orthodoxy has been fractured a little. Yes. So this will again be a new phase or new era where the liberal and the orthodoxy will now be able to counter. Yes. Maybe next 10 to 15 years, more liberal values will emerge, because people also tend to learn from their mistakes. The people and democracy reforms itself. Now, this is the entire dynamics. Now, let me give you one more example why India has done better than rest of the countries. Because India is a union of linguistic states, and European Union is a union of linguistic countries. Now, when you compare European Union with India, so European Union, most of them are Christian countries, but they are countries just on the basis of languages. We're having different languages, different religions, still we are one country. That means we can score better than European Union. South America, all of them are Christian countries. All of them usually speaking was Spanish language, barring Brazil, which is Portuguese. Okay, that means despite one religion, one language, they are still separate countries. Now we are seeing still the freedom demand in a place like Scotland or Catalonia in Spain, or maybe Quebec in Canada. Okay, because the language differences are there, cultural differences are there. So when we are going to compare India with those countries or those demands, we have done definitely well. So India is a unique experiment. If India succeeds, then definitely India can be a teacher and maybe a lesson giver to rest of the world. Yes. Now, this is the entire dynamics has to be understood while writing what? Perfect answers in the GS and the perfect essays in the essay paper. So this is a broad overview of India and how we are going to make it better. Yes. This is the way the things are being asked in the examination, because questions and essays are usually problem statements and they require solutions. But solutions can be only what visible and written well when you have got very sound concepts. So let us first of all demarcate the concepts, yes, in the next 5 classes. Okay. So on this basis, we're going to start. So now, so let me revert to the thing that I shared with you. Okay, now. So let's see now. So this is a transition that I was talking with respect to the introduction part. So let's see. So every country or every democracy passes through this transition phase. So what you are seeing are the sun clocks in different phases. So send at the top of the sun clock. Finally, the trickle down starts. It becomes more speedier, more speedier, and finally settles in a different phase altogether. So this is a transition. When we compare this with a democratic country, maturing of democracy, this is a time period about at least 150 to 200 years. So India is halfway mark. Okay. That means what we have to work towards. Now, this is a journey of democracy. And with respect to the constitution that we are talking, that we are now trying to defend more, yes, that we are talk more. So what we are trying to do is, we are trying to convert our country, which had got orthodox past, to more liberal values. So more liberal values. This is a transition that we are talking about. Now, a transition again from unreason to reason to more rationality and yes, scientific temper. So transition, yes. So we have to what make the things more faster and speedier. And yes, from a less aware society to a highly aware society. So transitions. Now in this journey, we are somewhere stuck in between. But definitely the things will be moving towards more liberalism over a period of time when the people learn from their own mistakes or when they are being taught properly by various stakeholders involved. Now further, so this is transition. Now in this transition, civil servants are going to be the what topmost managers. Yes. So and the civil servants are going to be topmost managers. So civil servants are the managers. They are also the catalyst who are supposed to speedify this change. And they should also be acting like a bridge. So what is the role of a civil servant first? Let us define first. So they should be acting as a manager for the society to manage this transition. They should be putting their weight and efforts, their ideas, their intellect in speedifying, hence acting as a catalyst. And hence they are also acting like a bridge. Now, bridge between whom? The bridge on one side, they have to what specify and explain and what get the work done by explaining things well to the elected leadership, that is the elected public servants. And on the other side, yes, the people at large. So they are acting as a bridge between elected public servants and the people who vote for them. Yes, so they are acting as a bridge. Now, why they are the managers? Why they are the catalyst? Why they are the bridge? Because they are more well-read people. So you are studying so much to clear the examination means you are becoming aware about various things, various factors which are required to shape a society. So hence, being a more aware person, more well-read person, there's a more responsibility on the civil servants to bring and manage this transition. So hence, the outlook should be properly shaped. So for a civil servant, the outlook is shaped by having a proper perspective. Now, we all know for any working place, there are what guidelines to be followed. Now, here the guidelines with respect to civil servants are definitely the Constitution of India is the guideline. The Constitution of India is the guideline. So that means that Constitution's guideline has been beautifully planted in the preamble of the Constitution. So what we are trying to achieve with respect to what bringing changes in the society and the country level, this is the end goal, yes, to promote better justice, better liberty, better equality of status and opportunity, and ensuring fraternity to all the citizens. Naturally, when the justice is better, political, economic, and social, when there's a more liberty of thought, freedom of speech and expression, when there's a more equality, status, and opportunity, naturally the society becomes better in terms of living with each other. Yes, means becomes more inclusive, hence fraternity. This is a journey which has to be traveled by bringing various changes in the country. Now, and the guideline that guides the student or maybe a civil servant, you as a student, but the civil servant is following the human rights. Yes. So that's why the human rights, UDHR, are reflected in the fundamental rights of the Constitution of India. Then we are a part of the global community. So there are what almost like a global government, United Nations. agencies, so there are guidelines which are also required to be referred while implementing various things in the country. So UN agencies guidelines. And then comes what? Definitely SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. So now, so civil servant by having a more deeper knowledge, better way of looking at the things, are acting as a manager, catalyst, and bridge, and their perspective will be improving better and better when they are going to implement the guidelines given by all of these: Constitution of India, UDHR, UN agencies, and Sustainable Development Goals. Now, for example, when we see SDGs, 17 goals, you should be remembering all those 17 goals one by one. Now, when we see no poverty, zero hunger, so it is talking about nutrition programs, it is talking about poverty elimination programs, it is talking about health, the health programs, the education programs. Now, definitely the questions in the mains examination, that is the GS papers, GS paper 2, GS paper 2 will be focusing on schemes linked with what are the poverty elevation, the hunger reduction, okay, the education and health, social justice, gender equality. Now, when you are knowing all of these things as the concepts, that means you can shape various answers in the GS papers and definitely the essays linked with that. Okay, so these are the concepts, SDGs. So when you see your syllabus, the GS syllabus, you can ultimately link the SDG goals with different portions of the syllabus, because all these are the factors for enriching, developing, and transforming any society in the world. These are the factors. So you should be knowing all these factors. Now, so first of all, perspective. So perspective, SDGs are going to shape the perspective, but SDGs as a student, you should be knowing what are the ways of working all those things out and improve the conditions within our country, because they can be sources for various questions and essays in the examination. Now, next requirement is when your perspective is very clear. Now, definitely you will be having a better IQ in what assessment of the society. Now, assessment means you should be knowing the progress made so far since 1947, especially what with the coming of the constitution, the means what are the changes that we have brought in the society at large in different spheres and different areas. Then finally, identifying the current problems and definitely the possible solutions, how to fill them. So that means you should be having every possible IQ of the background, the current status, and the possible solutions ahead. That is why the civil servants are tasked. So they have been tasked to design various policies. Tasked to design various policies. So that's why you read about the education policy, the health policy, industrial policy, environment policy. So various policies. Within the policies comes various schemes. And definitely schemes implementation comes with various actions which are governance related. Okay, so actions. So design and implement logical steps and solutions. Because what is the end result that we want to achieve? Okay, is to prepare and transform the society across all the factors of development. Ensure march towards constitutional vision so that a country starts applying and believing in this justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. Promoting national development across all the indicators of development. And when all the indicators of development become better, country rises in global rankings. So this is a transformation. I hope transformation is very clear. This is the transformations. Okay. Now, all this will be forming the purview of the concepts. Now, when all the related concepts are very clear, you can write any topic. Now, further, so the overall task of civil servants as managers are to deliver the best product, services to the customers. Best products, services to the customers. Now, these look like business terms or business jargons, but actually these are the managerial level things which have now been included in the perspective of a civil servant. As per the second ARC 10th report, now we do not want a civil service just order driven. Yes, orders given by the seniors at top, and now this person giving orders to the rest of the people. We require more participatory governance. Hence, even second ARC 10th report talks about civil service that delivers world-class, customer-focused services, day in and day out, and frequently in partnership with stakeholders. So that means what? World-class services, customer-focused services, and with partnership with stakeholders means more involved governance, yes, more involved management. Now, how to apply this? So what is the thing that we want to strengthen? Which product we are talking about? Product, services. Product here is democracy is the product. And a product becomes attractive when it comes with various features. Now, which are those features? 3 features are already mentioned in the preamble. Okay, it is talking about political justice, economic justice, and social justice. Environmental justice I have added now because we know we are now lot more concerned about environment conservation now. Hence, environmental justice is now the most important thing which is emerging across the world and even India. So hence, when we talk about the features of democracy, it is talking about political justice, economic justice, social justice, and environmental justice. So again, these 4 concepts have to be understood in detail because the country's transformation will be impacting the political scenario, will be impacting the economic scenario, will be impacting the social scenario and the environmental scenario. So again, all those factors become very important. Now, to shape them positively, which is going to benefit all, we require better and inclusive policies, schemes, and programs. These are the services which has to be brought regularly. And customers, yes, all the citizens of the country. Customers, all the citizens of the country. Now, as a civil servant, when you are going to deal with your customers, that is the people of India, the first thing is that you should be knowing, or for any manager, if you are a manager in any institution, any organization, if you are being told to deal with the customers, the first thing that should be coming to your mind will be, what are the type of customers that we have? When you know your customers well, then you design the products and services well. Okay. So hence, the first step, okay, welcome Harsh, yes. Okay. Okay, so first step is to know the customer's profile through customer survey and identifying their requirements. Now, how this comes handy for the students? For this, the syllabus has been designed in such a manner. For the freshers here, let me give you an overview. The rest of the people may be knowing, and then we'll be moving towards different things. So let me give an overview for the freshers so that they're also the same level. How to know the customers comes the role of the GS syllabus now. So understanding customers through the syllabus of UPSC. So GS paper 1. Now, so GS paper 1 is not that I am talking about mains examination. Is not that I have to read history and culture, ki ancient padhna hai, Pallavas padhne hai, Chalukyas padhne hai. No, that is not the syllabus. Yes, there's something bigger thing behind that. Yes. Now, why history and culture has to be read? Because you need to understand your society today. And India has got a long history, ancient, medieval, modern, post-independence. And these historical changes, centuries have brought diversity in our country. That's why when we talk about our state, languages are different, clothing habits are different, cultures are different, festivals are different, rituals are different. Now, if you are born, yes, if you are born in a family having a particular culture and thinking, and you are posted in a place which have got different culture and thinking, that means you should be open for that shock or change also. So that is why the first paper is opening up, understand the diversity of our country. Even geography becomes important in understanding. Because India has got a diverse landscapes, okay, mountains, plateaus, seacoast, island, desert, national parks. Okay? So that means when we talk about geographical landscapes, what changes first? Occupation changes first. And occupational changes bring what? Changes in thinking and culture also. So that means by multiplying the impact of history and geography, you are now going to connect this with Indian society in paper number 1. So Indian society is understood better when you know history and culture and geography. Clear? Now, so hence paper number 1 becomes familiar with the formation, diversity, and psyche or the thinking of the society. So paper number 1 is opening up the customer profile. That means the type of people living in India. Type of people living in India. Now, when you know the people, you need to manage them. Hence, paper number 2 never starts with M. Lakshmikant. Okay. Paper number 2 never starts with M. Lakshmikant. M. Lakshmikant can be one of the books in understanding political structure in the country. Okay, so hence polity and governance is required for management of society. That's why you tend to read about, you need to read about government at a center, government at state, and government at panchayat level. Now, how they are supposed to function, that becomes the governance part of those. Okay, so polity and governance help you in what? Understanding how to manage a country. So UPSC demand is understand how to manage the country, not simply looking that from the book of polity or the notes or maybe certain or handouts. No. So please see the bigger dynamics here. Now, when you learn, when you know how to manage, so what are managers supposed to do? They are supposed to develop the country or develop the society. That's why in paper number 2, there you need to read about various policies, schemes, human resource development, including education and health, and social justice part. Now see the difference. Paper number 1 is talking about Indian society, understand Indian society with its problems. And social justice part in paper number 2, with the help of the management, how to bring justice to the society. So there is a differentiation, yes? Indian society in paper number 1 and social justice in paper number 2. Now, next we are talking about IR, international relations. So IR is not what you read about India, Pakistan, India, China, India, Russia, or India, US. There are around 200 countries in the world. Now, there are various countries who can be doing work better than us. Certain countries can be beneficial for us. Okay. Certain countries, we need to protect ourselves from those countries. So that builds up what? International relationships of what? Dependency and also learning. So we tend to learn better practices, which we can also apply for our own development. So hence, these become the external factors in shaping our society. External factors. So they become the external factors, IR become the external factors in shaping our society. So that's why there tend to be essays also directly on what? IR issues. Now comes GS paper 3. Now paper 1 is talking about know your country or know your society. Paper 2 is talking about how to manage the society and how to promote development by using your internal intellect as well as for external factors. Paper number 3 is talking about how to create a productive society. That's why you are reading about economy in paper number 3. Now, economy, why? And what type of economy? UPSC questions are based on what? Inclusive growth, inclusive growth, inclusive growth. Because inclusive growth is the only way to create work for all. Inclusive growth is the only way to create or generate work for many people. Work means livelihoods. Livelihoods can be generated via promoting entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship-driven work for the people. So there can be direct employment, which can be provided by the private sector as well as public sector. And there can be healthy atmosphere of what? Business evolution in the country. Now, that means all the sectors have to be what? Balanced, whether the agriculture, whether your MSMEs, or whether big industries, or whether your service sector. So all those should be balanced in such a manner so as to promote inclusive growth. That's why you tend to read about different factors of development which are linked with economy, productive society. Science and tech, we tend to create a progressive society. We are living in 21st century world and science impact everything in the world now. So science in education, science in health research, agriculture, we talk about security, environment conservation, everywhere science is required, even governance, e-governance. So science, why? Better the application of science, wider the application of science, always create a more progressive society. So society requires productivity, progress, and one more thing that is called safety now. So what are the things that you read for safety in paper number 3? You read what? Environment conservation. You read disaster management. You read what? Biodiversity management. Yes. Then you also read about security, internal security. Environment, disaster management, biodiversity conservation, security makes the society safe. So all these are the features which are the bigger concepts which have to be understood. And definitely, see, we want a better country, we want a well-managed country, we want a more productive country, progressive country, we want a safe country. But all those things will be moving better and better or becoming better when there's a higher degree of ethics, integrity, and aptitude. Largely in the society also, and also the people who are the part of the governance. Because ethics, integrity, and aptitude act as a moral guidance for either of these. The people who are the part of the governance or the people who are governed. Yes. Because both of them are stakeholders in making the things better. Okay. So that's why ethics, integrity, and aptitude. So that is higher the EIA, that is better the ethics, integrity, and aptitude, then better the strengthening of society and democracy. Because what is our final goal as per the Constitution? Is not as per the Constitution for any logical person, for any better thinking person, what should be the end goal of the society? Better justice, J, better liberty, better equality, always promote a more friendly coexistence in the society, where people are dependent upon each other, where people are also not only cooperating or collaborating, but also giving concessions to each other so that they are able to live together. And now all these ultimately shapes a strong nation, shapes and prepares a society which is more democratic, and finally, definitely improve the image of the country worldwide as a responsible power. So these are the entire concepts which have been, which are the indicators of the syllabus. So syllabus is not books, syllabus is not notes, syllabus is not what bigger reference book. Syllabus is not what if you go to any bookshop, they will offering more books for you to reading. That is not syllabus. So syllabus is something very, very different. That evolution has to come in the mindset first. Now in this entire thing, essay also emerges. Now, all these form the syllabus of essay also. Okay, we have seen the GS syllabus. So GS syllabus combined current affairs becomes the super syllabus. Now, all those form the syllabus of essay also. Now, when you see the syllabus, so essay syllabus is like a society tree. For example, we are talking about a society. So this is Indian society. Now, there are 4 GS papers. These are the 4 branches. Paper number 1 is helping you understanding formation and diversity of society. Paper 2 is talking about the management, development aspects. Paper 3 is talking about the safety aspects. Paper 3, productivity and progressive nature. And paper 4 is talking about the moral guidance. When all these are moving in the proper shape, then this society becomes better. Its roots become more deeper. And these roots are where in the democracy, where in the preamble. Justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. Now, when you combine all of these, this becomes the syllabus for essay now. So, syllabus for essay, I will be teaching all of these things which are a GS part separately also. But I have started with the essay so that we are going to connect with all the components of GS syllabus by using an essay. By using an essay now. Now, on this note, let us see certain essay topics. Yes. Certain essay topics which reflect the dimensions of the GS that you are covering. Let's start with an essay topic of 2022. Forests are the best case studies for economic excellence. Forests are the best case studies for economic excellence. Now here, so it is talking about what? Yes, an economy which is environment friendly and which is sustainable. An economy which is environment friendly and sustainable. That means conservation of forest, usage of forest sustainably, and forests are also linked with what various products and byproducts, including manufactured products. So here, so that means utilization of forests sustainably. So your knowledge of economy, your knowledge of sustainable economy, your knowledge of environment conservation will be tested here. Okay. So there's nothing else to be read. What you're reading in the GS separately, what you're reading in the current affairs separately linked with them. The broader knowledge has to be combined to write an essay here. The broader knowledge. The only thing that you need to learn that I will be teaching you will be how to structure the things properly, how to write an introduction. Okay. I will also be teaching the content part. Yes, when I am going to deal with the different what the syllabus part of the GS. But let us understand what is the demand of this essay is basically economy, sustainable economy, and conservation. Now, next is poverty anywhere is a threat to prosperity everywhere. Now, poverty anywhere is a threat to prosperity everywhere. So, what we are seeing across the world now, from the poor nations of Africa, people are taking every possible risk to cross the Mediterranean Sea and to trying to enter Europe. And they are drowning in between. In the Mediterranean Sea, there have been various accidents. Okay, Now we have done in current affairs an island called Lampedusa in Italy, okay, where the people are crossing the Mediterranean Sea and they are dying there. Similarly, people are trying to cross the Central America to and Mexico to enter United States. So what you are saying is poverty anywhere is a threat to prosperity everywhere. So here we have to find a solution. So most of the topics are problem statements. So poverty is a problem, which is going to create more problem. So find a solution. So how to deal with this topic? First of all, we have to analyze the historical factors of poverty. Then we have to find now for elimination of poverty, we have implemented n number of schemes, but there are huge paralysis in implementation, that is the governance gap. So also identify the implementation gaps, that is the governance gap, and how to fill them, and how to reduce poverty over a period of time, ensure inclusive growth so that a work is created for more and more people, leading to economic justice. So your knowledge of historical factors, your knowledge of what gaps in implementation, which are the governance gaps, your knowledge of inclusive growth, and your knowledge of economic justice will be combined to answer this essay. Further, now when we talk about this essay, now thinking is like a game. It does not begin unless there is an opposite team. I hope you all agree. Okay. So everyone requires a fair competition. So until unless and see, humans beings are naturally competitive. Okay, so that means, but what type of competition? Constructive competition we are talking about. To extract the best out of the people, we require a fair degree of constructive competition in different spheres of activity. Now, which can be those spheres of activities which can bring out the best for the people? We will be discussing in the class. Yeah, we're discussing in the class. Now, so thinking is like a game. So thinking is like a game. It does not begin. People will not be forced to think until unless there's a challenge to them. And challenge will be coming from the opposite team. Okay, which is going to what prompt them to think and finally counter them also. Okay, but this type of countering can be positive also. So hence, thinking can start with better education. Thinking can start with continuous information, education, communication with the people. And fair competition, constructive competition will lead to social development. So what are the ways, what are the means of promoting better healthy competition in the country so that everyone have got the ability to think, perform better and contribute in the shaping of the society? So most important thing of the essay topic is decoding the meaning. That is the most important thing. Okay. Now, next is visionary decision making happens at the intersection of intuition and logic. Visionary decision making happens. Can anyone explain this in simple words? Yes, try it out. A simple meaning of this topic.
Sir, any decision which is strategic or any decision which is a long-term decision is not purely based on data. There is some amount of experience and soft factors associated beyond just data.
Okay, institution and logic. Yes, for example, if you talk about historical personalities, when you talk about, if it's normally talked about M.K. Gandhi, if you talk about Mahatma Gandhi, so Mahatma Gandhi had got an intuition that the only way of what creating a national movement was non-violence, satyagraha, and he ultimately found a way. He mobilized people, converted them into movements, and that was also logical also, because we were fighting a force of a power which was ruthless, which was commanding what majority of the world, and we cannot fight with it violently. So it requires what intuition also and logic also. Yes. Now, when we talk about post-independence, let's talk about NAM, non-aligned movement. Now, after the ending of the colonization, the historical colonization, which was promoted by the European countries, a new colonization was emerging on the basis of the communism versus capitalism. So hence, when India became independent, India did not want to align with either of these directly, neither communism, capitalism. So we found a third way out, that is NAM. That was also based on intuition, that also based on logic, that we will not be fueling neocolonialism. Yes. So these type of things have to be understood. Yes. So visionary leadership will only be coming when there's intuition also and logic behind it also. Now further, this is girls are weighed down by restrictions and boys with demands to equally harmful disciplines. So yes, both girls and boys require gender justice. There's too much of expectations from the boys and there are too much of restrictions on the girls. Okay, so what we require is we require what more freedom, more freedom for the girls so that they are going to explore their lives better. And we tend to what reduce the overt demand on the boys, that boys means patriarchy, that they should be the leaders, they should be like a bell. Okay, so they should be like human beings first. Yes, so that means the boys should be raised like human beings, not like bullocks. Yes, okay, and girls should be given more freedom. Yes, that means talking about gender justice. Now next is a society that has more justice is a society that needs less charity. This is a very simple topic. A society that has more justice is a society that needs less charity. Now, for example, government says that we are providing 85 crore people rations, free rations. Okay, that is not a sign of what an empowered society. That is a sign of what dependent society. Here it is talking about empower the people, provide them all forms of justice. What type of justice? Political justice, economic justice, social justice, environmental justice, so that they become capable on their own. And when the people become capable, they are lesser and lesser dependent upon charity. So this topic is talking about empowerment and justice. Now further, education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned in school. So education is what remains after one has forgotten what has one learned in school. I'm just exploring the topics for you at this moment. Now, the concept part I will be dealing in detail so that you will be able to write most of the essay topics. Yes. So education is what remains after one is forgotten, what one has learned in school. So what is your take on this? Yes. So what type of education remains forever? We may forget what, maybe we forget what we learned in exams. Yes. We may forget what we have learned in what maybe the class tests, but something which should be very, very broadly taught and built up, which remains forever. That is values-based education. So if you're imparting values right from the schooling system, the college system, that type of education can remain forever. Scientific temper means the way of critical analysis. If that is being built, which each and everything that we read, understand, see, that remains forever. And that's values-based education, value education, and scientific temper always contribute in making what more sensible citizens. Okay. So here, so education is what remains after one is forgotten, what one has learned in schools. This topic of 2022, a ship in harbor is safe, but that is not what ship is for. Okay, that means we tend to take risks to become better. We tend to take more risk. We tend to experiment to break the status quo. That means it requires what more investing in research, more investing in innovations, promotion of new ideas, new thinking. Because if we are not promoting new ideas, new thinking, innovations, so again we'll become stagnant or we will be going in the reverse direction. Okay, so that means the things have to be changed, and that requires experimentation, taking risks. Further, now wisdom finds truth. This is purely ethics. So now this is a type of topic which can be creating problem for the students, because here there are just 3 words and UPSC is demanding 1200 words here. Now this is actually a puzzle, very difficult to decode, but we'll be doing this in the class. Now this is purely what IR. Has the non-aligned movement lost its relevance in the multipolar world? So when is a question mark, and when something question mark is asking you a question, is it lost its relevance? Or you are going to say no, yes, it can be revived in a different what shape altogether as per demand of 21st century. Okay, you should be sharing your idea how to utilize a powerful organization like NAM, having more than 120 countries across the continents, or these countries are spread, in which India is the largest country. India can become its leader, natural leader. That means it is required to be revived and reshaped as per the 21st century requirement. Further, science and technology is the cure for the growth and security of the nation. So what we are saying is, I'm taking just certain topics. So many topics are linked with certain education types, certain education are more ethical issues, environmental issues are there, science issues are there, IR issues are there. So what we are finding is essay paper is basically utilizing your knowledge of general studies and current affairs only. So that means the day you are able to write a good essay on any given topic, this clearly means that you have got more command over your general studies, you have more command over your current affairs. Okay, so general studies and current affairs. Okay, so any doubt or query till now? Any doubt or query till now in terms of what creating maybe an environment of what beginning that we have done so far? Okay, I hope everything is in sync. Yes, with respect to understanding. Now, so that means what? So you going to utilize the knowledge of general studies and current affairs while shaping these essays. But let us understand this on the basis of a method that we require. So method to shape everything in the country. Method to shape everything in the country is we require what? Preparation of society, in which every factor, environmental, social, political, economic, are getting shaped. Now, even this essay summarizes the all-round requirement. Preparedness of our society for India's global preparedness of our society for India's global leadership role. So preparedness of our society for India's global leadership role. So this is an essay which is ultimately summarizing, yes, or which is actually demanding what are the ways of preparing the society. And this is the most comprehensive essays ever asked by UPSC, in which you have to utilize every factor now. So now this will be shaping. So this will be shaping what? Your first method, how to prepare the entire society. Now, so and this will be forming the basis for writing the main body of the essays. Okay, so let us understand them thoroughly. So how to shape any society? First of all, we have to strengthen the overall democratic values. Now, this can be done by ensuring distributive justice. So when we reduce the inequalities in the society, naturally the society is getting shaped properly. So what inequalities we have to reduce? Political inequalities, so that more people are having more political space or maybe open space to express their thoughts and opinions. Social justice has to be better. Social inequalities have to be reduced. Economic inequalities have to be reduced, and environmental justice. That means to shape the society, preparing the society, first of all, what is required is distributive justice. Now, why this distributive justice? Because this type of equality of status, now see, even when we talk about our fundamental right, also talks about equality of status and opportunity. Okay. Now, but why we have to promote distributive justice? Because our past did not provide that opportunity to most of the people, because there was not distributive justice in the past. And this essay is also talking about that indication. The past is a permanent dimension of human consciousness and values. The past. So past is history. So history is giving us an indication. If we read history very rationally, so history becomes a logical teacher. That means what were the positive things in the past? What were the negatives? Which positives are to be carried forward in today's society? Which negatives are to be eliminated from the current society to make it better? Then the past becomes a teacher is going to create constant consciousness and values. Now, this can be seen on the basis of this table now. Now, why we need to shape the society in the form of distributive justice? When we see the society on the basis of these symbols of power, we are finding the large sections of people were neglected in sharing this power. and only few people were having this power under their command and control. Now, for example, when we talk about education, so education in the past was denied to women, backwards and Dalits, differently abled, and third gender, transgender community. So who are having this what education? Man, but man belonging to upper caste. Man belonging to upper caste. So they were having the exclusive power of education. Land ownership. So they were denial. So again, the same type of men were having the land ownership also. Political roles. Earlier, the political roles were, who were the political world leaders there at the time? Yes, who had got the political power? The kings, the emperors. So again, denial, 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 and denial. So who are again here? So the male belonging to upper caste from the Hindu kings, mostly Kshatriyas or maybe Brahmins sometimes. Okay. And when we talk about the Mughals, again the elite Muslim class. Now administrative positions, again denial, 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 denial. Again, you find all the administrative posts occupied by the male upper caste. Economy also, male upper caste, denial. So that is why the past became the reflector of the changes a country, a democratic country now requires. And who are the first set of people who are inspired by the past in bringing a change? Definitely the people who were sitting in the Constituent Assembly who are shaping our constitution. That's why they talked about justice, liberty, equality, fraternity now for all the citizens. So hence they worked out and we started to work. Now, for example, education for all is now there in right to education. Okay. So when you are promoting right to education, you are distributing what? Social justice to all. Because education opens up what opportunities for various sets of people. Okay. Now, land ownership. So after independence, abolition of Zamindari, Land Redistribution Act, okay, abolition of princely states. The purpose was to distribute the land through land reforms to various people. Land again means social justice and also economic justice because it also becomes a means for earning for various set of people. Now, political roles. Now, first of all, to encourage each and every person, definitely first came into picture, right to vote or the voting power. Now, when I talk about women, so there's a reservation now in the parliament, but it will be applied later. Whenever it's going to be applied, notification will be coming. But there are reserved seats definitely in the panchayats for women. Backwards in the list, so there are seats reserved in the parliament, assembly, as well as for local self-government for the SCs and STs. Now, differently abled and third gender can also stand in elections. They can also win elections. Administrative positions, you are writing the UPSC examinations. The posts are reserved for the OBCs, for the Dalits, okay, and also for the differently abled. Now, if the government desires, it can also bring reservation for third gender also. It can also bring reservation for women also. Economy, how to democratize it? More businesses, more small businesses, more medium scale businesses, more entrepreneurship, more startups can provide the potential to democratize the business space because these can be started by anyone irrespective of their backgrounds. So we are working on transforming the society to undo the historical wrongs. Now, this is the way the society is being prepared. So what we have seen here, again, let's see. The first method is how to prepare the society. We have to strengthen the democratic values by ensuring distributive justice, that is political, social, economic, and environmental. Why? Our past is giving us the indication that the changes are required, hence came the constitution. And to apply the constitution, we brought various changes because the purpose is to ensure distributive justice. Now, this has to be improved a lot in terms of implementation and speed. Hence, it has to be rolled out by better governance. We require good governance. We require a system of better and better governance. Because better governance becomes what? Engine for democracy. It becomes engine for democracy, a very powerful engine for democracy. it becomes its need for ethics in governance. Yes. That is why there's a need for improving ethics in the governance part. That's why you read this in the part of the syllabus. Ethics in governance, you read that in the part of the syllabus. Because ethical governance is required to shape the things positively in the country. Now, for this governance, what is the focus area? The first focus area is improving the lot of the people. Yes. Improving the conditions of the people, make them better. Hence, the first focus area is better HRD in the country, human resource development. And here, the first major area of development is quality education. Focus on quality education. That's why so many essay topics are based on education. There are so many questions based on education upliftment. Even education becomes the core area for answering question, even in the ethics paper. So education. So quality education does not mean only school and college education. Education means lifelong learning. That is during the school days and college days, and also post-education institutions. Means there should be a system of enrichment throughout the lifetimes, because education is a lifelong journey where the people learn, relearn, okay, become better, start thinking better, and then become mature throughout their lives. There should be a system. Means is to convert an empty mind. What is the meaning of quality education? To convert an empty mind into an open-minded person. Empty mind means we are all born as empty-minded infants. Now, to convert an empty-minded infant into an open-minded person is actually a sign of quality education, and that requires lifelong enrichment. Hence, the governance has got a major stake here in shaping the educational development of the people. Hence, there are so many topics of the educational development. Next comes the role of what? Quality health. Because the person should be healthy through mind and body. Now, better the health systems, better the health standards, definitely we are going to create a productive society. Now, a person well educated in terms of what? Understanding, awareness, and the person who is also more healthy, this is a sign of the quality human resource. And that requires what? Huge support system from better governance system. Another area where the governance should be focusing on is human resource management now. How to manage that human resource. Now, the best way of managing the people is give them work. Now, when you give them work, you are engaging them into daily activities. They're becoming capable on the basis of their own economic profile. Okay, so they are not dependent. And when the people are engaged in regular work, there are lesser and lesser empty minds. And hence, it creates more peace and stability in society. That's why livelihoods, you tend to read about economy here. So promote economic justice and better peace and stability. Now, second is social justice. Now, definitely to manage the people, you require work for the people. But one thing also is required for managing people well is give them respect. When the people are treated well, when people are treated with respect, definitely there are lesser and lesser chances of rebellion in the society. There are lesser chances of what may flux in the society or violence in the society. Hence, social justice to all becomes important. So respect to all promotes dignity, inclusion, and better peace and stability. And third thing that is required is safety and security. So that's why people require safe and clean environment to live and security both internal and external. Now, how to shape a society? Now, this is a very simple and easy flowchart. The flowchart is we have to what? Ensure distributive justice. Because our purpose is to strengthen democracy. So how to shape a society? By ensuring distributive justice. Now, this will strengthen democracy, but this requires the support of better governance or good governance, which is now working to prepare the society on two aspects. That is the HRD, human resource development, and human resource management. Here, focusing on quality education as a system of lifelong learning, focusing on quality health, as a way of creating a more healthy and productive society. And here HRM, livelihoods, that is economic justice, respect, that is social justice, and safety for all, that includes environment plus security. Environment plus security. Because safety, that is environment plus security. Now all these become, yes, now all these become the important what implementation areas for a governance system to prepare the society by ensuring all forms of justice and hence strengthening democracy. This is a way of what transforming any society. And here you are finding different components of the syllabus. Livelihoods economy is coming, respect, your social dimensions are coming, your safety, your environment and security is coming, governance, your entire governance is coming. Here the key areas of education, health is coming, means all this extraction is from the syllabus itself. Now, this can also be seen from a different method also. Yes? So different methods of shaping the society. Now, when we talk about different method, now how to shape any society, let me add one more thing. Let us strengthen the values part also, and also strengthen this distributive justice part together. So let us talk about a bigger way of changing the society. The value systems being upgraded, plus the distributive justice is also being upgraded. Hence, creating a far better society. So let's see now here. So segment one is strengthening of basic values, which is a combination of behavior development and behavior modification, because we need to create what? Compassionate citizens. So we need to create compassionate citizens in the country. And that requires behavior development right from the growing up years and constantly in different phases of life, behavior modification. So this is a continuous exercise of development and behavior modification for creating more compassionate citizens. Now, for this, what is required? Yes, for the what is required is the requirement is peace and values-based education in schools and colleges first. This is what growing up years, that is behavior development. So a child as young as 3 starting the school till the child reaching the age of what? Your age, yes, all these are build up years. So the values part, yes, so that values part are better. So hence they are more inclusive, more participative, and more peace loving in nature. So peace and values based education becomes better in schools and colleges. So that is why there's certain articles which are very interesting, which came very recently in the Hindu. Why values and peace education is more necessary now than before. Yes. Very interesting articles for reading. We'll be using the content in terms of shaping various things in the class. And why we need value-based education. Again, an article. I hope you can link this idea with the essay topic asked in 2023 that I've shown you before. Education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned in school. So what remains with the individuals when they grow up is the peace in their mind and the values if properly taught. That remains as an education throughout their life. And hence they apply that thoroughly in different areas of their activities, personally and professionally. So that is an education which remains with them, though they have forgotten various things they have learned in examinations or maybe test in the class. So this is a bigger thing which should be taken by most of the students when they leave the schools and college education. But for that, we need to plant values-based education and peace education properly in schools and colleges. But see, this was confined to only the children in schools and colleges or students in schools and colleges. What about the people at large who are outside, who have completed their education or who have not studied altogether? For that, there's again a line, which was again an essay topic. Instructions end in the school term, but education ends only with life. That means we need to create a system of what? Continuous learning. We need to create a system of continuous learning. That means though the people have completed their school education, formal education, but there should be a way of what enrichment throughout their life, where the people can unlearn, relearn, critically analyze, and improve on their own. And that requires what certain things to be planted in the society at large. Because if you just give instructions to the people, if you just tell people, then they will forget. Tell me and I will forget. If we show something to the people, they may not remember. For example, if I'm telling you something, yes, you may be forgetting that maybe in 2, 3, 4 days. If I'm showing you something, that definitely it may be remaining with you for longer duration. But how to make that thing permanent? For making thing permanent is involve the people, and I will understand. That means there should be a way of what lifelong learning, where the people are improving on their own, and that becomes a way of what education for life. And that builds and sustains what your what values in the society. So education for the students as well as the people who are outside the education institutions. Now, another thing is how to involve the people, how to involve so that they understand. There is a way of what applying fines and punishment methods. Now, we all know that there are various daily deviations that the people do on daily basis. So their daily activities, when they move outside, when they travel by a train or public transport system, they are generating waste, they are generating various things. But when we talk about responsible habits, they are very, very less. So what is the way of what teaching them? What is the way of what making them understand? Definitely certain degree of fines and punishments. Punishments can also be what more proactive and positive, like community service. We are creating a condition where the people are self-learning on their own for promoting better civic sense. So hence the values are becoming better, and hence nurturing a thing called individual social responsibility. For the corporates, we talk about corporate social responsibility. But here, what we are doing better becomes individual social responsibility, behavior modification. Now, certainty of praise methods. Just okay. Is the prelims result out? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. So it was supposed to come today. It is out now. Okay. So you want to check it now? Okay. Should I continue?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so let me continue. Yeah, so we'll talk on that after some time. Okay. So let's see the thing again. So we were talking about shaping the society. So shaping the society requires what? Two important things. First is values part to be improved, and second is distributive justice part to be improved. Now, how to create value, generate values, there are various methods. Now, if you understand how to generate values, that will be providing ample of content even for your ethics paper. Okay, you have ample of content for your ethics paper. Now, similarly, when you talk about okay, Akash, thank you for becoming visible. Okay. So that means values part. So first way of generating values is there's a requirement about peace and values-based education, schools and colleges. Now, this is the only thing, if properly taught permanently, will be remaining with the students forever for life, and which can easily connect with the other topic. Education is what remains. So what type of education remains? The education which is based on what? Opening the minds, building the values, critical thinking, after one has forgotten what one has learned in school. Now, next is, now see, but we all know education is not only for the students, it is for the largely for each and every person in the society, whether educated or not. So there should be a system of lifelong learning, and people can only learn when they are involved in certain activities. Now, first of all, there should be a system of what? Course correction. So there are various things that people do wrongly on daily basis. For example, breaking traffic rules and regulations. Now, for that, there's a requirement of certain degree of fines and punishments so as to what necessarily correct their behaviors. So hence, a normal civic sense develops and they show individual social responsibility. That becomes a form of learning and education for them, which they're going to maintain and promote also. Another things come what certain to praise methods. Praise means highlighting the best practices so that they become the role models for the others to follow. And this can be done for different areas of activities. So for certainty of praise, for promoting best practices. Now you can see this essay topic that I have shown you before. Thinking is like a game. It does not begin unless there is an opposite team. Now, how to plant thinking on the people? There's a requirement of two things at least in the country. One is fines and punishments in different areas of activity so that people start thinking and follow the better examples. And next is praise methods, where we are going to deliberately highlight the best practices as successful case studies for others to follow. In such a manner, in different areas of work, different areas of activities, we are creating what constructive competitions by raising best examples, by creating opposite teams which are going to contribute positively. So again, which are those things which are to be developed? Again, we're doing those things in detail. Yes. How to generate what thinking by using opposite members in a society or different members of society, and hence challenging the others to become better. Now, for example, what type of civic sense we need to develop is there's a properly defined in your in our what fundamental duties. Now, this can only come through activities provided by the Constitution, respected ideals. Again, it has to be taught to the people, but it cannot be taught through lectures because nobody wants to listen to lectures. You only listen to lectures because you're supposed to listen to lectures. Yes? So otherwise, nobody listen to lectures. So they requires activity-based learning. Now, to promote harmony, spirit of common brotherhood, transcending religious, linguistic, and regional diversities. So how to promote this? Respect for women. Again, this requires activities so that people start thinking. Now, conservation of nature and the environment. Again, positive examples have to be set so that the people are going to start to think. Promote scientific temper, humanism. Again, we require activities, we require positive examples, we require influencers, we require role models so that the things are being shaped and others are forced to think and abide. So that means there is a way of creating a thinking mechanism, and that requires for conversion of various things which can make people better. And it's properly defined in our fundamental duties. So all these build up what basic civic sense. Now, another thing which can shape the behaviors is the sporting culture in the country. So sporting culture means behavior development and behavior modification. So if properly applied in institutions, in schools, it can be the building background for various things, teamwork, okay? That means acceptance of others, giving recognition to the others, accepting defeat, yes? That means hence becoming more mature in understanding and collaborating with others. So sports bring various behavior modification. Now, that's why a country requires a deeper sporting culture, largely in the villages, in the blocks, towns, in the cities, state level, national level. So there should be a proper calendar of sports which can be charted out, where different people from different backgrounds can be brought together so that they started to nurture within themselves various transformations in their thinking, attitude, and aptitude, sporting culture. Now, further, also what is required is sustained guidance through a regular system of information, education, and communication. And there comes what? Multiple tools. Now, how to communicate with different sets of people? There are people of different ages. There are people about different educational backgrounds. There are people in different locations. So there should be tools, there should be mechanisms of communication which should be connecting with different sets of people. And they may be requiring customization and modification. For example, in rural areas, the best way to connect with the people is street plays, role plays, okay? Or maybe drama, the theater, and communicating the message in an entertaining manner which can attract various people. So that means it works on 3M process. There should be process of what? Messaging regularly, There should be stakeholders who can be brought as messengers who are going to communicate regularly by using various methods, and it should be done sustainably. That is mission mode. Now, what you understand now is 5 major things are required to be planted in the country properly to shape a value system in the society. That is peace and what values education in schools, system of continuous learning through fines and punishments and certain praise methods, sporting culture, and various tools and communication methods being used sustainably for information, education, communication. All these open up the mind of the people, bring better and better behavior modification. Now, this should be supported by the same thing that we discussed before, distributive justice. Now, let us see an example. Let us see a scenario. If we are pushing very hard the value system, but values have to be sustained, made permanent, and should be expanded. But this will not be happening if there are huge inequality in the society. Larger the social and economic and political inequalities, more the chances of rebellion and decline of values. So that means to sustain the values, it should be supported by distributive justice, political, economic, social, and environmental. So in short, the segment 1, the values part, the segment 2, that is the distributive justice part, both to be implemented by better governance system to create a prepared society. So these are just a rough overview of the concepts that we are going to open up in detail. So what we have gained with respect to the second method, that how to prepare a society. For preparation, 2 major areas have to be worked very sincerely. So one is your values part, and second is distributive justice part. Values part, distributive justice part now. So values part, yes, so we talked about peace and value education. We talked about fines and punishment methods. We talked about praise methods. We talked about sports as a way of changing various things, and also continuous system of information, education, communication tools. Now, if you understand all these things in detail, you can have what ample of content to even write what various ethics paper questions in with proper examples to explain in a very simplified manner. Distributive justice, we were doing the polity part, economic justice part, social justice part, and yes, your environmental justice part. Now, both of them have to be rolled out by a system of governance. So here we will be doing what? Ethics in governance. Ethics in governance in detail. How to initiate, improve, and maintain. Initiate, improve, and maintain ethics in governance. So distributive justice, polity, economic, social, environmental. Now, when both of these things accompanied by good governance is implemented, naturally a society becomes more prepared. So society has got democratic values, political, social, economic, and environmental, which promote environmental justice, and hence got values which are inbuilt, broadly visible in the society, which are individual and collective. So this is a sign of prepared society. And this generates huge concepts and huge content for them, which you can use in the GS papers as well as the essay paper. Now, one more thing that is required to be understood here is the concept of ethics in governance. Yes, how to plant ethics in governance. Now, so ethics in governance has to be planted with a proper formula. Now, we know governance requires the support of both state actors and non-state actors. And the functioning of both state and non-state have to be improved. Okay. So let's see the stakeholders first and their roles. Now, the first stakeholder is definitely elected government. Yes. Now, when we are talking about elected government, so whether local government we are talking about, or the state government we are talking about, or the central government, let's talk about the topmost government, the central government, and at the middle rung, the state government. Government should be acting like a guardian. Yes. So government's role is the guardian. So guardian which has been giving the responsibility to implement the constitutional guidelines. Hence, according to the constitutional guidelines, with respect to the FR, but majorly with DPSP, they should be framing timely policies and schemes for the betterment of the society. Now, framing policies and schemes is one part. Also, giving timely directions for implementation is the another part of the role. And the part of the role is constantly monitor and evaluate the implementation process, whether things are being properly implemented. And hence, if required, take just and effective preventive actions so that the things are not getting spoiled, and punitive actions when the actions are required for punishments, actual punishments. So that means this is the way the government should be acting like a guardian. So it becomes the first stakeholder. Now, the second stakeholder is, now who supports the government in terms of implementation? Comes the role of bureaucracy, comes the role of police and the armed forces. Now, what is the role? Now, especially when you talk about the bureaucracy, okay, especially when you talk about the civil servants, and when you talk about the police, they are supposed to provide effective and timely suggestions to the elected government and the public servants. That means they should be more vocal in putting their thoughts and guiding the people who are elected, which are a part of the government, in understanding the issues as per the suggestions suggested by the civil servants and the police personnel, or in case of security measures, the armed forces. So they should be more open and vocal. And definitely, they're also supposed to execute the directions given by the government. That means they become the next stakeholder in implementation of governance. Now, but both of these are the state actors. Now, they require constant check from the non-state actors. The stakeholder 3 are the non-state actors. The role of non-state actors are to create checks and balances on the state actors. And they're also supposed to participate in improving governance. They're also supposed to participate in improving governance, that is the non-state actors. Now, who are the non-state actors? So there are registered pressure groups. You have heard a term called pressure groups. So they are registered. So they are registered under various acts of the parliament. So for example, political parties under RPA 1951. Okay, so they come. Media is an organization which can be registered as companies also, Companies Acts, Union Acts, Cooperative Acts. Then there were non-profit organizations, NGOs, so separate registration for them, Society Act, Trust Act. That means all these are the registered pressure groups which are registered under various acts. These are formalized. Now comes unregistered pressure groups are there. Now, for example, in various schemes implementation, there is a creation of SHGs. So self-help groups become the informal pressure group within that particular scheme. Gram Sabha is a permanent body within the panchayat system. Okay. Now it becomes a constant pressure group. Yes. Okay. Now, forums, you can create n number of educational forums, discussion forums, okay, on the basis of seminars, conferences. Okay. Social media, in the age of social media, you can create n number of social media groups. So all these become what? Yeah, again, pressure groups. But when we talk about each one of us individually, each one of us individually are also pressure group. Yes. Or we can also create pressure, not a group, but individual pressure. Yes. That is also individual social responsibility. So all the non-state actors are supposed to keep a check on the state actors. But now there's another stakeholder which is required to keep a check on both state actors and non-state actors, state and non-state. And hence comes the role of stakeholder 4, that is rule of law. Now comes the role of rule of law. Now all the above stakeholders, that is state and non-state, work under the watchful eyes of rule of law. And the final application of rule of law is under the judiciary, guardianship of judiciary. Now, in day-to-day activities, a government should be acting according to rule of law. That means while executing things or maybe presenting the bill in the parliament, the proper procedures of passing the bill has to be followed in the parliament. That is following the rule of law. Similarly, the bureaucracy, the police, they should be following the rule of law in daily activities. But if there's a breach in terms of rule of law, by the people or by the people in the governance or in the government comes the role of the judiciary now. So hence the judiciary becomes the final guardian of rule of law in the country. So what we expect? We expect what? That all these stakeholders should be performing to the best of their levels. So all the above stakeholders, when they reflect accountability, transparency, and non-discriminatory approach, then it gives rise to ethics in governance. Ethics in governance. That means it should be transcending the changes in the state actors as well as the non-state actors as well as in the judiciary also. When all these changes are very well understood, then you can ultimately understand governance and how to improve it. Now, in this regard, if I put the explanation slide again for you, so the changes in the state actors, the stakeholders. First stakeholder is the government. Second stakeholder is the bureaucracy plus police, and plus for the external as well as internal security, the role of armed forces. Third stakeholder are the non-state actors. Now, first of all, state actors are supposed to be checked by non-state. Now, further, all of these have to abide with rule of law. So there is a constant reminder of rule of law to them as a constant check. And finally, in case of what breach of rule of law comes the role of judiciary. This means what? This means that we have to improve working everywhere. Yeah, we have to improve working everywhere, efficiency, working transparency, efficiency, working transparency, efficiency, working transparency, and definitely judiciary also, efficiency, working and transparency. So all this becomes concepts for understanding, for writing GS answers as well as essay. Now, so that means when we have to improve the functioning of all of these, definitely we require reforms. Now, the reforms part, let's start with reforms where the state actors' role should be improved. Now, when we talk about reforms, so reforms always start from parliament. Yes, so parliament frames laws for all the countries, for all areas of activities. Now, better laws, more transparent laws, more inclusive laws, and what more laws which has got more larger positive impact can only be created when the political party systems are to be improved. That's why when we talk about in our country, there's a requirement about political party reforms and electoral reforms. Because when we talk about many of the political parties in the country, they are not properly democratic. So that means there's the internal reforms required in the functioning of political parties, how they functions in the form of organization structure, the membership, the elections within them, what is the source of their funding, how they do expenditure for their funding. Everything have to be brought under what? More transparency parameters. Secondly, electoral reforms also required for more transparent, effective election processes. So hence, when we get better quality of representatives in the parliament, and which can lead to lesser and lesser criminalization of the politics, can definitely improve the lawmaking for the country. And that reforms start with the reforms from the political party reforms, electoral reforms. Why? Because we need to open up the political parties so that they become more democratic in nature. Because we require reduction in criminalization of politics, both in assemblies and parliament, so that better laws are being framed on the basis of better mindsets sitting there. And hence, we also require a transparent electoral process which can open up the election space in a more inclusive manner, that better people are able to participate and stand as candidate in the elections. So all these are the changes. Now, we all expect that there should be reforms in the civil services as per the requirement of 21st century. We always talk about police reforms. We always talk about what civil service reforms. But these reforms will not be happening until unless the people in power are willing to bring laws, okay, shaping and reshaping the bureaucracy in police. And for shaping and reshaping the bureaucracy in police, there is a requirement of what? Better quality people as member of parliaments in the country first. So reforms always start from this level, then it filter to other areas of reforms very easily. So then comes reforms in civil services. Why? For an accountable and result-oriented civil services in our country. So again, this is again a concept to be understood. First concept here to be understood are the political party reforms, electoral reforms. Police reforms. Why? For proactive, preventive, and people-friendly policing. Again, that's why we need to read about police reforms. Judicial reforms. So judiciary is highly overburdened, understaffed. There's huge vacancy of judges in our country. There's huge pendency of cases in our country. Crores of cases are pending for many, many years. So now we need to reform for making it cost effective and speedy. Because cost effective and speedy justice is also being interpreted as a part of fundamental right within Article 21. But we have to make that workable also. And that requires reforms. Now, when we make this cost effective and speedy, which has got a potential to reach all, what we are doing is we are restoring the balance and faith in judiciary. Because judiciary is usually seen as usually pro-rich, pro-powerful. And hence it is being shown and seen as neglecting the people who are poor, backward, deprived, because their cases have been pending for enormous number of years. They are languishing in jails as what? In jails just as an accused, yes, okay, rather than what? Convicts, yes. So prison reforms, another area. So prison should not be just a center of punishments, but they should also be center of reforms. So what are the nature of prison reforms is again a concept to be understood. And hence, they should be better in dealing with the issue of under trials. So that means police reforms plus judicial reforms plus prison reforms are interlinked. When police is reformed better, then it is going to make the work of judiciary also easy. And when the judiciary is also giving the judgments on the basis of merit properly, it can also be helping in bringing changes in the prison's functioning also. Okay, so all these three concepts are interlinked. Now, all these are basically what? Reforms in the state actors. Now, let's talk about the reforms in the non-state actors. So, non-state actors and the which is very, very important is media reforms. Now, when we talk about the media reforms, now we have seen the condition of what media in a country, especially the mainstream media in a country, it has declined very swiftly. Our ranking in the freedom of press index has declined drastically. That means we tend to revive it as a fourth pillar of democracy. And for that, certain correctional changes are required. So what are those correctional changes? Again, we'll be understanding them as a concept. Now, so next is corporate reforms. Now, when you talk about so normally what is being taught that private sectors are better. Yes, privatization, private sectors can work better when there is a better competition in the field. Now, when there are lesser and lesser players in the private area, it leads to duopoly or monopoly. And monopoly, duopoly, or tripoly can lead to what? Playing with the customers, okay, reducing the quality, extracting more, okay, and finally, it's creating 1% rich people at the cost of others. So that's why we need to create certain type of corporate reforms so as to create better playing field, more competitors in different areas. Better competition lead to first the social responsibility towards the customers first, and that can be promoted on the basis of a bigger concept that is called triple bottom line approach. So again, it should be understood in detail how the corporate should be displaying their social responsibility. They should be displaying on the basis of triple bottom line approach, which is a combination of 3 P's. Okay. The first P is concern for the people. They should be socially responsible for the people. They should be responsible for the planet also, that is environment conservation. And when they generate profit, so even using the profit for more welfare of the people, as per the section 135 of the Companies Act. So 3P concept is bottom line approach. But before that, corporate governance have to be improved in the country first. That comes civil society organization reforms. So civil society organizations, for example, here we are talking about NGOs, for example. NGOs are really, really very important. But again, we have to filter out the fake NGOs or the NGOs which are just involved in money laundering purposes. But NGOs are very, very active partners in what reaching the last, filling the last mile connectivity gaps. Because NGO works in a community, so community have got faith in them, so they can be engaged with partners in different areas of development for uplifting various communities. For that, what is required is formation, mentoring, capacity building of such civil society organizations as active partners shaping development in the country. And next is citizen reforms. Now, citizen reforms. So citizen reforms is targeting each and every individual on the basis of spread of awareness. We have just seen how that can be done. Value system, schools and college education system have to improve, and post-institution connectivity with the people through lifelong learning has to be improved. Now, these are the major concepts. These are the major concepts that you have to understand to write all the things in the examination, GS papers and essay. So essay is not different from GS paper. It's a part of that, or actually it's an umbrella for that. Yes. So, so in short, just give me a minute. So in short, just give me a minute. Now, so you should be very, very clear. You should be very, very clear with the concepts part. Now, so what we have done so far, so what is the things that you are supposed to revise here is, first is that you need to go through all the three major areas that of discussion. There is a concept building part. The concept building part we discussed about that first is the method number one. The method number one was based on what? HRD and HRM. And HRM, human resource management. Now, in both the things, again, we have included the areas of education, health, economy, society, social justice, and environment and security, along with governance. So what you have seen is how to shape a society. Now, another thing that you learned today is, or came to know, is the bigger way of shaping the society. So bigger way of shaping society is a combination of the values part plus the distributive justice part. The values have to be improved. This has to be improved, but this improvement happens on the basis of better governance. That's why good governance. That's why we need to improve the ethical element. We need to promote ethical governance. Now, what is the common factor in both the methods? Nothing can be implemented without ethical governance being laid in with respect to the local governance system, the state government system, and the central government system. Hence, we try to identify which are the major stakeholders which are involved in making governance better. State actors, non-state actors, and the role of judiciary to finally become guardian of the rule of law. Then we did again a reality check that if we want to improve the functioning of various actors for shaping the governance, what are the major reforms required? Now that means when you know about the values part, when you know how to promote economic justice, the social justice, how to promote better environment conservation, security part, the governance part, and the reforms linked with governance. That means there's nothing left for your understanding. When there's nothing left for understanding, various topics can be decoded and can be answered. Yes, can be answered. So now this has to be revised by you today. Yes. Now tomorrow what we'll be doing is we'll be opening up certain concepts in detail, and as we move across the week till the 5th class, that is on Friday, major concepts will be covered linked with them. And then next week we'll be opening up the topics for answering. So topics for answering, I'll be also be sharing certain topics for you in this weekend to think over. And I will not be just be telling you how to write the entire essay. I will not be asking, sorry, I will not be asking to write the entire essay. I will be asking you to shape the introduction. Now, let me give you one more thing, how to shape a good introduction. So that you should be having an idea how to shape a good introduction first. Yes. Okay, now when we talk about the introduction, first of all, 3 or 4 things are required to be there in your introduction. Now, introduction is like a movie trailer. For example, when the examiner is going to read your copy, the examiner should not be getting bored by reading the introduction. So you are getting influenced in watching a movie when you see a very catchy trailer. So that means your introduction should be like a very, very catchy trailer so as to influence the examiner to read the entire text. So hence, the introduction should be having certain features. Introduction. Now, what is the word limit for the essay? Word limit for the essay is 1,200 words is the word limit for the essay. So a good introduction should be, yes, around 130 to 150 words is the size of a good introduction. Now, so the first thing that is required in the introduction is you need to open up. So hence, the first thing that is required is you need to decode the meaning of the topic, in simple words. That means the examiner should be able to understand that you have able to decode the topic, yes, properly. Now, how to do this in simple words? So there can be various ways of reflecting your understanding of the meaning of the topic. So it can be on the basis of an anecdote. Anecdote can be a real life story which opens up the meaning of the topic, and you are not going to create your own stories. You are going to pick up any story covered in the newspaper. Any story covered in the newspaper. So there are various political things, there are social things, economic things, international things, environmental things, community level things coming in the newspaper. So you're going to pick up any one of these depending upon the type of topic and start with the story to explain the meaning of the topic. Yes. Okay, so that means you are going to start anecdote is one of the way. Second is, okay, now you can ultimately talk about the you can use certain the quotes, yes, to emphasize more on the meaning of the topic. So certain connecting notes quotes can be used by you. Further, you can directly use examples from the current scenario as well as the history to start with. That means what you are showing is you are showing the understanding of the topic and also showing to the examiner, and you can use what? A combination of these things. It cannot be just one anecdote to explain it, or can be just one quote or two quote. You should be using combination of these. Maybe a small story supported by a quote, supported by examples also. That means you are showing the variety in the opening of the topic. Okay? Variety in opening of the topic. So first major thing is open up the topic, decode the meaning by using a story, a quote, or maybe a current scenario or maybe a historical scenario. Then Then, now, the topic are usually what problem based. For example, when we are talking about the forest or the case studies, that topic of economic excellence. Yes. So that means, first of all, how forest you are going to decode, value of the forest you are going to decode. Okay. Forest conservation, maybe a story you can quote. For example, you can quote about the Chipko movement of Uttarakhand, where the local people there, okay, prevented the felling of the trees, because trees not only what beautifying the places, they're also what making it ecologically stable. They're also giving them certain economic products for their well-being. Okay, you can start with such a story and you can connect. Okay? So that means you are going to open up a story in such a manner, then you are going to link with the main body. And also give a hint how to solve this problem. So there are guidelines. Every problem to be solved by certain guidelines. The guidelines are there in the Constitution of India. Guidelines use the SDGs. Now, you have opened up the problem by decoding the meaning by using anecdotes, examples, as well as what quotes. Then you are hinting how to ultimately deal with this problem. There are certain guidelines to be followed and implemented, like the Constitution of India, this particular guideline. Okay. Government of India, any statutory act is there, this particular guideline, or maybe the SDG, this particular guidelines. Just that will be enough for the introduction. Now, how to apply those guidelines, then you are going to connect that with the main body. The main body will be, now you are going to discuss that problem in detail with all the factors involved, and then tell the methods how to apply the guidelines in detail, leading to the conclusion. So hence, 3-4 things I again remind. Introduction. Decoding the meaning becomes very, very important by using story, the suitable quotes and examples. As the topic are usually problem based, you are going to highlight the guidelines which are required to be implemented for successful solutions. That means you are going to cover this in what 150 words. Then you are going to connect this with the main body. In the main body, you are now going to deal with the problem in detail, with the factors involved, and then the methods of applying the guidelines for reaching the desirable positive solutions. That will be in the conclusion. So this is the way we are going to start introduction. Do not write at this moment, but anyone who wants to write, they can start writing on the topics that I have shown today, or the topics that are there in the handouts. But still, I will be recommending just listen to the entire week of the class. 5 days, complete the entire range of the class. Then I will myself be asking you to write and submit your introductions in the topic that you feel confident that I can write good introduction for this. I will also be showing some sample introductions before. Okay, sample introductions before, then you are going to write. I hope it's very, very clear. Any doubt and query with respect to today's class?
So just one request. When will we get the video? I ended up missing a significant part because of the result. I wanted to revise that. So just for this, like,
okay, text me personally also about your result. It's not an open thing. Okay.
no, it didn't happen this year. So yeah.
So just text me about your results, those who have appeared, and there are certain people who have not appeared. They are planning for 2025 directly. Okay. Yes, definitely. The video will be shared by tomorrow evening. Yes, because we are an institution, not on begin staff. Yes, but definitely we will be converting the video by tomorrow afternoon and we'll be sharing by tomorrow evening. You'll getting the video one day after the class has been conducted.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so just listen for the next 4 days of classes, more concepts to be covered. Then I'll be showing you certain good sample introductions. Then your assignment will be ready for you for the Saturday, Sunday to start writing introductions first. Very clear? So all the students very clear, just say yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. So Shraddha, I hope you attended the entire class. You missed something, some of the portion?
Yes, sir. I missed some of the part. I'll see the video, sir. I'll see the
Okay,
video.
okay. Dharma, you have were able to follow the new ones I'm asking?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Rinkul, I hope it's clear. Sai, I hope it's clear, Sai.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. So just revise what we've done today and let us connect for the class tomorrow sharp at 6 p.m. Okay. And now those students who want to speak me with respect to the prelims examination, okay, speak me with me separately, drop me a message first. Then you talk about a prelims examination, just see your result. And in case you have faltered, what is the best way forward is? Best way forward is connect with me. I will guide you to success in the examination next year, 2025. It requires proper build-up and daily revision and practice. Okay, so be a part of my award teaching, and definitely you will get enormous benefits. Thank you.
Sir,
Yes,
am I audible?
yes, Akash.
सर वो ऐसे था वो जो थिंकिंग वाला
हाँ.
सर how does that fit? I mean, that is not getting anecdotes, thinking, because I can imagine, you know, it's talking about competition, it's
हाँ.
talking about those aspects.
Okay.
So if say I've thought of an introduction, can I share with you?
Yeah, just tell me, yes, tell me.
So, I mean, if we say start with something, that I can start with a question
हाँ.
like, how does thinking begin?
ठीक है.
Or what constitutes thoughts?
Okay.
So then I can start with, say, a biological definition that memory created from certain stimulus in the brain, it automatically gets stored into long term, short term, and provokes various reactions. And in that way, it helps us guide our actions.
Okay.
And then we can go for, you know, several anecdotes like the real life story. Now यहाँ पे मेरे को confusion आ रही है. Real life story, I mean, in 130 words, how do you frame in that context? Because real life story can clash with examples.
So you are not going to write the entire story. You are going to give the hint of such a story. Okay.
Okay.
For example, when talk about a women's organization like Kudumshri in what Kerala doing good work for what women upliftment. Yes. So that can be an example, positive example. Such type of examples are required to be replicated in different parts of the country. Okay.
And
so
do we always have to agree with the topic?
No. So see, the agreeing means what? First of all, if there's a question mark in the topic. There's a question mark in the topic that, for example, let's talk about a topic which looks very negative in nature. Fulfillment of new women in India is a myth. So fulfillment new women means empowered women, means achieving empowered women in India is a myth. It's not a reality.
2017, I wrote that.
So this is a negative statement. But you are not going to go with the statement, yes, that it will remain a myth. So the problem has been highlighted. You can show with your intellect how to convert that myth into reality of empowerment.
Okay.
Okay. So that means you should be seeing the positive side of things, even the things are being presented in negative sense.
Okay.
Okay. So you have to find a positive solution because you're supposed to become the change maker.
Sir, and every week, in the weekends, we can write 2 essays and submit.
Yes, you can. Yes, that's why I will be prompting the people to write and submit, because see, writing cannot be developed in 2 months. Yes?
Right.
That's why this program is for the entire year, so that you start writing from July, you will improve in August, you will improve in September, and finally you will be improving till the examination. So that it becomes a year-long exercise of what? Continuous writing practice.
Right.
Okay. And for writing is an output, but for that you require what? Input first. Yes? So input is what? Revision, what? Going through the classes, revising the notes better, and finally writing and converting that into an output. And that will be a year-long exercise. That's why year-long exercise the people require in terms of hand holding, because many people have got the capability to clear IAS, yes, to clear UPSC examination. But this daily support they miss. So that's why this is a daily support. Learn, revise, and finally act through assignments. So this is the way.
Right.
Okay, so things are clear, very clear. Any more query, or should we end today?
Yeah, so tomorrow after the second class, the videos will come for the first, right, sir? Or before that, sir?
Yes. So before that, we'll be sharing that recording. Yes, we will share the recording.
Okay, that would be great.
Try to share maximum by 3 p.m. Yes.
Yeah, that would help, sir.
So the people who have missed certain portions, or maybe due to what certain internet issues that usually happen. So please receive, yes, the missed portions. And if you order to revise the entire, just revise and make your own self notes also. So thank you. Let's meet tomorrow. Thank you for participation. Thank you.